Hello, welcome to this show. I nearly fluffed my lines over there because I was on mute, but it's nothing to be mute about on this match review on cricket.com with me, Avni Shaky. Day three, beg your pardon, the third test, day one. I really need to sort myself out before we resume in what's been a truly enthralling day of test cricket. We have Gukirat and Nikhil Popa to dissect it all for us. India winning the toss, batting first, and in a precarious spot of bother first. We'll show you the match review and the day summary for starters before we pick the bones about it. At stumps, 326 to 5. And as you can see, two centurions for India. Ravindra Jadeja, 110 not out, and Rohit Sharma, 131, where I said earlier, 33 for 3. And then that 204 run partnership, which has been absolutely good to see. Bailed India out of jail. And we'll talk about Sarfaraz, we'll talk about Shubman Gill's failing, we'll talk about how Mark Wood was, and much more. Keep your comments coming through. But, boys, first thoughts on what's been an eventful day, should we say, Nikhil?
Yeah, it's probably a story of what ifs. I don't recall having so widely mixed remarks on the game that you felt that, okay, this is as good as it can get. A guy nearing a ton, a guy almost racing along to a ton, and it's not just about the ton, but about the positions that India could get into. You think that, okay, tomorrow, first day, take out the first hour, and then what Sarfaraz could do, given what he was doing today against a tiring English attack. I think it's probably the story of what if, a story of the entire series, that whenever you have felt that India will always be in the ascendancy, they've just found a way. I wouldn't say to give it away, but at times England have just found a way to come back. So I think still India will be very, very happy. Of course, looking at the bigger picture, from 33, from 30 odd for three to this is a very, very good recovery. And again, two guys, most experienced batters coming good is always good.
Okay, let's get Gurkira's thoughts because I know he's typing out his tweet right now. What have you lined up for all those followers of yours, and who's going to be the happier team at Stumps on day one, sir?
India will be the happier team. You win the toss, you get to 320 odd for five down, with one more recognized batter to come in. You and Ashwin, so you would feel that India are on top, and India should really look forward to not making the mistakes that they did in Hyderabad or in Vizag. Uh, you would have felt very confident of India reaching 500 had Sarfaraz not been dismissed, but yeah, can't really now you know spend more time thinking on that. A good day. In the first hour you really felt that this could go anywhere with how the wickets fell, because, and I think it was probably due to the moisture or the freshness of the surface, because there was some inconsistent bounce. There was also the ball stopping. I felt that Patidar got done in with the ball stopping on him rather than more than anything else. But then very, very good rear guard action from both Rohit and Jadeja. And yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone who's watched the game today would have not felt happy for Sarfaraz. Right from the moment he got his cap, and with the words that his father said, and I think those words will remain with us for a very long time, because they are not just about the struggles of getting your chance in cricket, but they pretty much summarize the entire struggle that anyone goes through in their life. So a very good day on that front, because this was one player who everyone was looking forward to play, and Sarfaraz ne dhoka nahi diya. That's all can be said today about his innings.
Yeah, you've summed that up pretty well. And if you guys agree with us, and I'm pretty sure every Indian cricket fan right now would have seen that Sarfaraz knock and been like, you know what, it's such a breath of fresh air, this, because like some people pointing out in the comments as well, that Rishabh Pant vibes, and we'd like to see this. And it's just fearless, absolute brilliant cricket. More on Sarfaraz in just a bit, because we all have our own things to say about Sarfaraz, not just today, but how we've kind of really analyzed him in the series, even though he's not played a single game. But let's start by talking about that little early hiccup India had. 33 for 3, they were, Nikhil. Was it just down to Mark Wood and that extra raw pace that we kind of keep hinting upon in the game we love? Or was it, again, India being, I don't know, a little poor with the bat, should we say?
I wouldn't say entirely one thing there, because you'd feel that, okay, Jaiswal probably fell for one, couldn't decide in in a time that would save him, or get him away. So and again, we discussed this in the MNL, that when you have Wood bowling with an Anderson, it's a completely different proposition. Then you're not looking at Wood as the guy who has to be looking to control, but then he's the guy who can then just come in, run in and bowl quick. So that's what it did to Jaiswal. And I think India, you'd say that okay, India had to lose a few because of the nature of the deck, and as Padi also mentioned, the moisture that was there. There was movement for both him and Anderson. Anderson again bowled a tight spell, so the pressure was always on India. With Chuman, I felt he looked very fidgety. Didn't look like a guy who's coming on the back of a very good century that would calm his nerves down, whatever that was there. But again, an innings that desired a lot. But I don't know how much I'll put it down to. In terms of percentages, it's probably split. That I'd say it was good bowling, but maybe we expect a bit more from Shubman there with Patidar. As Padi said, I wouldn't blame Patidar much. The poor guy has had a one that is bounced low, one great take, and now one ball that is just stuck in the wicket, and then it's just spun a bit. So uh, it can't do much with that. And yeah, I think with Gill and Jaiswal, things to take care of.
Let's talk about Gale then, Gurkirat, because what was it? Those 9 balls, it feels like he got out thrice. He made Rajkot look like Auckland in many ways in terms of playing and missing. And this is the 12th time that he's got an under 10 score in the 42 innings that he's batted. So it's almost 1 in 3 innings or 1 in 3.5 innings that he has a real letdown. And do you think that will eventually cost him? I know the 100 probably might have given him a longer rope, probably at the end of the series. But how does he kind of rectify that particular going at the hard hands? And I think the commentator said it as well, right?
See, for me, what costs him more or any test cricketer who's a batter is, when you don't convert starts. Because, if you've gotten out without really getting into a start, then, you can understand that you never really got in. But if you've not gotten in, but if you've gotten in and then not converted, I think that hurts you more. Coming to today's dismissal or, today's innings, I think it's right up there in terms of, saying that it could be the worst inning played by anyone who's coming off a century. I mean, it never looked like that he had scored a century in the last innings. He just completely looked at sea. And in today's dismissal, you felt that he was also beaten by pace or beaten for time. He was probably late at it, which is not something you should associate with a player who you think does not really have issues with pace, and he hasn't had them. Against swing, yes, you felt that the ball coming in has been something that has troubled him a lot, but today you felt that he was late. And again, it might have something to do with the balls that came in and him trying to really keep the one out. But then when Wood changed his line and just bowled it slightly wider, his just hands couldn't really, it's just the muscle memory coming into play again and him edging it. Nevertheless, he's with the lack of availability of players, the injuries and everything, probably he will get the whole series. But regardless of how Shubman goes in the remaining 5 innings, I think that there needs to be a serious discussion on does he really belong at the number 3 spot, or should India really try to fit him at some other spot? Because I have had my doubts on him being a number 3 for pretty long time, and I don't think that he's doing anything to take those doubts away.
Okay, lots of people having their say about Shubman in the comments, and he's saying, why are we even discussing Gill? He'll come around, or are you looking to make him another Rohit Sharma, just a white ball guy? And evening to K Singh, please subscribe if you guys are new. I know K Singh is not new, but do like this video if you guys have liked the proceedings out there in Rajkot, especially the pocket rocket in Sarfaraz Khan. We'll talk about him. We're picking the bones out chronologically, and as you can see in the ticker below, if you guys are liking our content, we've moved closer to 46K. So help us kind of move on to that. Ijaz Ali, good to see you. And we'll take all the small questions at the end of the show. So bear with us. There's still so much to talk about. And I now want to just ask Nix this question, which is kind of I saw in the comments, because we spoke about the little spot of bother India were in. And then what was your take on the management sending Jadeja at 3? I think Ravi Shastri disagreed, saying that he would have sent in Sarfaraz despite the situation. Do you think it was a masterstroke now and the benefit of hindsight?
No, I think we expected him to bat at 5, right? We discussed this in our 11s as well. That
Yeah.
with the batting lineup that India have, it's important to not really just club all of them together. So you had to have your senior batter coming in at that point of time. And again, we can only presume or assume what could have happened had Sarfaraz batted at that spot. But I think Jadeja, probably with his game also, I think till the time he got run out, he was probably India's best batter. You could say Rohit had his at times looked a bit troubled by Anderson, and he had a chance at 27 when he was dropped by Root. But Jadeja, it almost felt that he was at ease at for the most part of the entire innings until he got into those late 80s when he completely went into a shell of sorts. He was at his best, and that's what you expect of Jadeja. Something that again we have often taken for granted, but these runs are crucial. He looked at ease against everybody. So I think it was the right call, a good call, and you need that with the lineup because if you don't send him now and then you have a lineup that is Gill, Patida, Sarfaraz, Jurel, Jadeja, that might just be too many two together. So I think it was a very fair call and good call also, no matter however it worked.
Yeah, the left hand, right hand clearly came to India's benefit there, with 204 being eked out with Rohit and Jadeja. We just spoke about Jadeja. We'll talk about him a little bit more, but I really want to talk about Rohit Sharma, who features in our first segment called the Showstopper. Right, it wasn't the most prettiest of Rohit Sharma innings that we've seen, especially the first part of that innings. He got hit, I think, once in the helmet. I think he got a couple of other blows in the area that we wouldn't like to talk about. And generally, it felt that even the pitch was kind of being assisted with that early moisture on day one, so on and so forth. Gurkit, I want to know what you made of Rohit Sharma's knock in that precarious position. Yes, he kind of got the rub of the green. People are saying Root should have taken that chance of Hartley. And many were even saying that there was an inevitability that he would just throw his wicket away. And it came at 131. But still, I feel like, again, the dismissal overshadows his knock here. Am I right?
See, the thing with players like Rohit is that when they are on song or when they're batting well, when they get dismissed, especially in manner like the one today, you always feel that he's left runs out there. And, that feeling will stay because you can understand why it was avoidable. And, India had England on the mat. There was nothing happening. England were probably bowling for the new ball. So yeah, that dismissal was avoidable, but nevertheless a very good 100 because at 33 for 3, you were in a real danger of getting dismissed for 200, 225 odd, and from there on India would have been really under pressure and could have really lost the game. So it's a very good innings, and it's a good innings even from the entire I mean, the I wouldn't really say confidence for Rohit Sharma because he's been batting well, but I think it would really help him in terms of taking some pressure off his shoulders and really getting into a good mind space or a good headspace for the remaining 5 innings. Because you could see we have discussed this before. We could see that even in the T20s that you know he can sense that the pressure is on him, and with this batting lineup he really has no other option but to take that mantle of responsibility, which he was trying to do in the first innings in Vizag. I thought the difference was today he did not go into a shell. He was still looking for boundary opportunities, and he got them at the right time. You can talk about luck, etc., but you need that sometimes, and in recent times he's also been unlucky in terms of getting some absolute pitches. He got one from Rabada, got one from Anderson. So that's okay, but it's a very good innings, probably similar to the one that came versus Australia in Nagpur, though you could say that bowling attack was much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Nikhil, I just want to get your thoughts on Rohit Sharma. Remember, he becomes the oldest captain to score 100 in test matches for India. So well done to Rohit with that regard. And he also has the most hundreds now as an opener since Rohit started to open, which was October 2019. He has 8 of them. Karuratne has 7, Khwaja has 5, and David Warner has 5 as well. And like I said, oldest Indian captain to an international century, beg your pardon, not just test cricket, which is insane. What did you make of that particular knock? 131, crucial innings. But again, in the context of this pitch, Rajkot being the road, everyone's thinking 550, even though we got out of that little pickle. Do you think that there was maybe 70 more, 80 more, 100 more.
Jesse, with Rohit, you'll always feel there are many more on the cards, as Paji also said. But I think what really stood out for me was the way he just completely shut out that option that he took when he was dropped. So he played a similar shot, got a boundary, and then when he got dropped, after that you did not see him take any undue risk. And then that's where I felt he probably just got into a very nice rhythm at the crease that after that you could feel the calmness in his batting, that and that is something that we have been associating with him as a test opener, that he knows what he's doing. And there, as Padi said, there are moments where he just picks the bowler and picks his spot and just gets that boundary. So I think post that drop he was very very good in terms of just going at a very good tempo, and it helped that he had Jadeja at the other end, who also was not worried at all about scoring at a rate. So I think that was really building up to be a partnership that was really just setting the stone for India. And see, with respect to the wicket, now you know what Wood was trying there, and it's happened in the past. It'll probably happen again. It's an area of strength, and you could see he was wanting to go big. He was not wanting to just put it away and like that. He was looking to just really go big, but got off the two end of the bat. So with Rohit, in his entire career, you will probably say it's more about execution, that sometimes you feel only Rohit can get himself out. And I think after 131, he probably felt this is the best time to get going. That wonders did not come off. So, uh, yeah, you can say there were a few more runs out there. Purely maybe because of the situation also. It wasn't as if that England were looking like they could take a wicket any point of time. So it was like a wicket that was again a lot has been said about the commentary and how anything that Ben Stokes does is praised. But I think that was also a bit of everything combining in terms of Wood bowling well, Rohit wanting to hit, and then that field being such that, because the point here is at the start of the innings he had three fielders in the team. So Rohit was not looking to pull them because he knew there were fielders there. But now that he was set and he felt he was reading the pitch well and he had gauged the conditions well, a risk that did not come off. But from 30 out for three to that, I'll probably take it in terms of the overall effort that he had put in to get to that stage. So I'll take it. Hopefully those extra 30, 70 will come again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think many people were saying at the time that it was fatigue, maybe it was ego, and it made Ben Stokes look like an absolute gem of captain with that particular plan coming off. But let us know in the comments. Good to see lots of people tuning in right now, even though it's a Thursday. So wherever you guys are joining us from, or if you guys are watching this later, please like this video and let us know your thoughts about day one, because the series, remember, is perfectly poised 1-1, and only time will help tell what will happen on day two. Prajwala Benabur, good to see you, and all the other beautiful people. Satvik Mohapatra also saying lots of talking points with Sarfaraz playing the way he played today. Should India be replacing Patidar with Sarfaraz when KL returns? Let's, of course, talk about Sarfaraz then, because at the end of the day, literally, what a debut for him. I mean, the fact that he got his cap from, who was it, Anil Kumble, and then Dhruv Jurel got his cap from Dinesh Karthik. I don't know whose job it is to assign these people to give their caps, but they've got the cap nonetheless. And let me just say my piece about Sarfaraz, guys, before I want to ask you guys about him and the future which entails for him. Sarfaraz, every time I've seen him in the series, has just been exceptional. Nick mentioned in one of the pre-match shows on the MNL that wicket that Shreyas Iyer ran out Stokes. If Sarfaraz didn't throw in the dive there to save the three and then throw it back, Ben Foakes wouldn't have been on strike, so on and so forth. That was one particular play from Sarfaraz I thought was brilliant in terms of just showing his 100% commitment as a substitute fielder. Even the fact that he runs on so quickly as a drinks boy is great. It's all these small little things which make a huge thing. Then he comes on to, I think, field for Shubman Gill on that final day, and he cops a blow from Ben Stokes really, really badly. And, Rohit's like, it's fine, take one for the team. He takes one for the team. Today, you look at his energy, the fact that he was generally, you could tell that this boy has been waiting all his life just to get a gig for the Indian team. He was blessed with his father. That was really touching as well. He came out and he just, it was just like brilliant to see, Gurkirat. Like, you could come in here first and tell me what you liked about Sarfaraz the most, because every other world cricket fan sitting in New Zealand, Australia, West Indies, South Africa right now must be like, what are India doing? Where has this bloke been?
Yeah, I think the best part was him not showing any nerves, just got on with the game straight away, playing his shots. And the best part of the innings for me was that he got beaten by one delivery by Hartley. And then he could sense that probably Hartley will pull his length back and give it a little more air. And he allowed the ball to turn and still hit it straight. So I thought, that was something that told me, okay, now against spin, India could really, be not worried that, okay, they have a batter in the middle order who can take on good spin bowling. And India have had troubles with left arm spinners over the last few years generally. So I and not very often you see Indian batters use the sweep so well. He was pretty liberal with taking out his sweep shots. And then even when Anderson came on, played that late cut, so it told you that he was someone who was looking to get on with the pace of the game, that he could understand at the moment that he's walked in. uh, England are the ones who are on the back foot, so should not really go into his shell and bat according to the situation, which he did. And interestingly, what from whenever I have seen a little bit of domestic cricket is that whenever he's come in for Mumbai when they've been in trouble, he's also had the defensive game and then switched gears accordingly. So a good innings, but hopefully you would want to see him do well even in more testing situations. Say if he comes out to bat at 50 for 3 for India, how does he play then? But that is a discussion when it happens. Today was really really uh, well done to him in terms of the innings that he played.
Nick's has been so much about his journey. It's well documented about his highs and lows. He made the switch in domestic cricket from from Mumbai to UP, and then he took a U-turn back to Mumbai. How do you think it's all unraveled for little Sarfaraz Khan? And is this given us a little glimpse to the future that you can come out and be fearless, even though it's such a big moment in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge sucker for stories, and even more so when they're so emotional because you could see how the guy has had to do so much to firstly make it to the squad, and then so many things have had to happen for him to get a gig, and then he gets a gig, and then India are 30 for 3, but the team sends Jadeja ahead, and he has to wait. He has to wait. There's a number 200 stand, and then he comes in, and then he just gets going, and it almost as if felt like he always belonged here. So, there are some stories that just work out that way. What if he had walked out when India were 30 or for 3? How would it have panned out? We don't know. So, sometimes, the lines that his father said, it's something that will never go away from me forever in terms of you can only do what you can do, allow the time to pass, and the sun will rise when it has to. It is just so poetic that the lad got an opportunity, and it makes the run out even more infuriating that he dived just a ball player. He dived full length to get Jadeja at the 99. And then he's like, now that guy has taken almost 2 hours to feel, okay, let me get into the 90s. And then suddenly he wants that one single very quickly. And he's still more than happy to do it. That I am here. He knows how much he wants it. So, as you said, it just tells you how much he was happy to help Jadeja also get to that milestone. So, uh, can only be very happy because I think at one point of time, all of us had this emotion where we felt that this is how we want them to play England spinners. Why isn't everybody playing England spinners like this? But then it also tells you how much hard work it takes for him to reach this position in his life where he comes out there and he's batting freely. And see, you have to take everything into context that okay, who were bowling to him? Root was bowling to him, and then when Hartley came in, he still went after Hartley as well. And then you sweep also. So it's like you're ticking every box, but all that box has had a lot of time in the background. A lot of effort has gone into just feeling ready for the occasion. So uh, again, I know Paj has already said, "Okay, don't dwell too much on what could have been," but I'm just hoping this is not the last that we see of him because it's very easy to get lost in the Indian cricket ecosystem because a lot of things happen very quickly. So hopefully he'll keep getting his chances.
Yeah, there's some more stats as you can see over there with regards to what he's done with today's 50s as well. I think he beat Hardik Pandya's record of the fastest 50 or test debut for India. So well done to Sarfaraz Khan in that regard. And there's plenty of other stat nuggets available on cricket.com. So go check that out. But what a story. I mean, he's just 26 and the world's his oyster right now, and all the suburbs of Mumbai. He's grown up spending a lot of time in the Azad Maidan. All those kids will look at Sarfaraz's story and be like, you know what, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and fantastically summed up by Nixan Gurkirat with regards to Sarfaraz and what he's done today. And only time will tell how he can really make this opportunity count going ahead. Right, let's just quickly talk about Jadeja, and then we'll look ahead to the second day, guys. 110. Nix, you just touched upon it earlier in your piece there that he was probably the most fluent batters on this in this test match so far. Can he now cash in? He averages 135 on this very ground in first class cricket. He knows pretty much all the angles. Even that six, apparently, people are saying it's intentional, not unintentional, because it was like a top edge. But jokes apart, can he now really shepherd the tail and take India to 550? Because there's also that little guilt hanging over his head about running Sarfaraz out. So do you think that can aid Jadeja further?
I think the break should help him in terms of it's probably come just at the right time where if this was an entire day left, maybe you could feel that it could have played on his mind. But now that it is just stumps and then there is enough time for him to just dwell over, maybe have a word with Sarfaraz and find a way to patch up because I don't think anything will make up for it. But it's part of the game. What I think should make him even more motivated is let's ensure that we get to 500 from here. That's the best way to make up for it by being there, scoring those runs that you felt that when Sarfaraz and him were going, you felt that okay, India could really push in excess of 450 here. So I think that's what will be the thing on the plate because we've seen India collapse very quickly on second day mornings, and it's happened very often, sometimes at home as well. So there is still Dhruv Jurel to come, there is Ashwin to come, and of course there is Bumrah to come, but I'm very keen to see the intent with which Jadeja bats because, like we saw today, when Sarfaraz was going great, you did not have to worry about the run scoring at all. But then I don't think Jadeja can afford to have the same kind of run scoring rate tomorrow morning. So I think they'll probably look to play out the first hour because that's when you feel England will look to bowl seam. And again, Rajkot, it is his home ground. He knows the entire park where he wants to score and how he wants to plan about it. So hopefully he can just bat at the right intent, at the right pace as well, so that India gets at least 450 because you need that many on this batting deck. And it may not be as flat as we may all have felt, but you still need 450 to just feel that cushion.
There was a little bit of apprehension, Gurkirat, when Jadeja was in the 90s. I think he got into real shell. I know he's fallen twice in the 90s, twice in the 80s, and this is what his fifth test 100 or fourth test 100. Um,
I think
I want
fourth.
to fourth test 100, but I want to ask you a question similar to what Kushal was asking: is what is with Jadeja and runouts? Because you love runouts. We clearly know that from uh, you and how you followed the game. Shocking calling there again. And it's like what Nikhil pointed out just before you're again flirting with danger. It's like you're almost doing bhangra on thin ice. You're going to fall eventually, right?
I really don't know because in this series alone, Jadeja has been involved in three runouts. Hyderabad first innings, Ashwin, he himself got run out in the second innings in Hyderabad, which I think so far in terms of consequences has been the worst run out. And then today, and Anirudh has just come up with another stat that the last three Indian batters to be run out after scoring a 50 are Sarfaraz, Jadeja at the other end, Virat, Jadeja at the other end, and Ajinkya Rahane when he scored that 100 in Melbourne. But yeah, I see. I I don't know. I mean, it's something which is in line with the criticism that many have had against him in terms of game awareness. Because today, once he got into 90s, it felt like the game was not moving for him. He just went into a shell, and then he realized that if he doesn't take that single or from somewhere, he could get stuck. And I think it's a very bad feeling to be stuck in the 90s overnight. So you know Sarfaraz was ready to run regardless of where the ball goes on the basis of Jadeja's call, and you can understand why, because Jadeja is also the senior and he wants him to get that 100, and it is Jadeja's fault. I mean, you called him, and then from that point there was no return for Sarfaraz. So Jadeja will have to cop the blame for it. The most unfortunate part is that it has completely taken the sheen of what has been a good 100. It's been a 100 that the team needed, And I thought it was a good move to send him at 5 because you wanted to sort of protect the two debutants and you wanted to make things easier for them. But yeah, I mean, with 15 years of international cricket behind you, you expect Jadeja to do better. And being involved in 3 runouts in 3 innings, it's not funny. It's genuinely not funny. We can laugh at it, but it will sometimes really cost you, and it has costed India already.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it really is. Thinking worthwhile about day two and whether there'll be more calamities out there in the middle. Hopefully not. Let's turn our attention to day two then with regards to our next segment, and that is what's next. Right, the average first innings score in Rajkot, guys, is 594. So is India going to get 594? Because they're 326 for 5, Nikhil. What happens, especially in that first session? How do you think it'll all unravel? Do you think Kuldeep will be more sedate and circumspect? Or do you think he'll let his shackles loose? Do you think Jadeja will just bat tight till tea? How do you think will we see day two motor along?
If you honestly ask me, what I feel is Sanderson will take a wicket in the first hour, and then India will either go into a shell or they'll all go Jai Mata Di and get all out. But I hope that is not the case. So I'm just getting it out of my system so that that's not the worst case scenario for India. I expect Jadeja to be a bit circumspect if it is Anderson starting up. But if it is spin, I really hope Jadeja is the one who just dictates the flow of the game in terms of him just settling into the innings in the day's play. Because then, whenever Dhruv Jurel comes in, we know he's going to be expressive and he'll be positive. But if you have a guy who's already batting at a very good rate at the other end, it'll just ease Dhruv Jurel as well into the knock. So I think again, all the cliches in the world, first session is paramount, first are even more so, because as I said, I'm looking at least 450. I'm looking at least two batting sessions, and then that should get you to 450. That should be the minimum criteria, no matter how the first hour, second hour goes. So I'm looking at two very good batting sessions, and we'll also see if the pitch is starting to play any tricks, or because after the first session you did not see much turn or any uneven bounce or something like that. So uh, it's also important to just bat in the best batting conditions and get as many as you can. So, and yes, if he can redeem himself by scoring a 300, nobody's complaining, not even Sarfaraz.
And that 300 on this pitch for Jadeja is easy. He's done it, what, twice, thrice before. But let's see how that really goes. Gurkirat, I want you to now cast the crystal ball for us and tell us what's going to happen on day two because Nikhil's given us his predictions. What about you? You think India can actually go 450, 500? Wishful thinking, is that?
450 they should, but I think the key will be, like Nikhil said, the first hour is important in everything. Would be important for not both the batters to not go into a shell. I understand that Jadeja will start slowly because it's a new day. He'll take at least 15 minutes to half an hour to get his eye in, which is where I think, if Kuldeep is batting, he should still bat to rotate strike. Not really asking him for to hit those boundaries, which is not even his strength. But this comment, yeah, I don't. My anger has really gone down over the last few days. I don't know why it is, but yeah. So because see, if Kuldeep also gets into a shell and there is no run scoring happening from both the ends, then I think something silly could happen from one end, which could trigger something. So you would need that whosoever is batting, keeps the scoreboard ticking, because that will also allow the batters to have the luxury of in and out fields where singles will be available. Because if both the batters look to just block it in the first half hour, invariably you one of them could end up edging, and then it could make things a little difficult for Dhruv Jurel as well.
Speaking of Dhruv Jurel, guys, we've seen him in the IPL. We've, of course, known that he averages about 17 first class cricket. How would you expect him to play in his very first game for India, Nikhil? Would it be come in there and do similar things to what Sarfaraz did or play according to the situation? Because right now I'm guessing At best, he can bat with Jadeja, but it'll be pretty much farming the strike with a tail.
Yeah, see, as you said, it has to be batting the situation first. And again, if it is Jadeja, it is easy, which is why I said it's easier for him to bat at the rate that he wants to if he has Jadeja at the other end. But if he has the tail at the other end, then he'll probably be the guy who keeps taking the risk till probably Siraj comes in. Now, today, even Siraj loves to take risk. So I wouldn't put it past him also in that sense. But you want these two to be the guys to be batting in the first session. I don't want anybody else to be Ashwin also to be coming into bat in the first session. So that will just allow England to bowl a bit more because I think it's an aspect we have not talked about at all in terms of making England bowl a lot more. It's something that I think the baseball bit doesn't. It probably takes care of it okay, because actions are happening so often. You don't see them having to bowl long spells and having to bowl a day and a half and all of that. So hopefully that is also taken care of. But he'll be positive. Hopefully with Jadeja at the other end.
Okay. Introspect saying India 415 all out, England 260 for 5, the close of day's play. Let us know if you guys agree with Introspect. And we can, of course, see if he's right or wrong tomorrow, same time here on the cricket.com show, reviewing day 2. DOF going on to say problem is Kuldeep and Jadu will spend 30 minutes doing nothing. And pitch doesn't look that flat, saying K saying
Yeah.
400 will be decent, I reckon. Yeah, 100%. And by the way, have you guys noticed England plays better in the second innings, irrespective of the match condition? I was just asking, in fact, the colleagues in office here, and I was like, when India were going well, especially Knicks, if India did get 650, hypothetically, in this first innings, England would have still made a match out of it by getting to like 450, declaring, and then putting pressure on India because that's how Stokes and baseball is. But do you think if India do get, say, 500, theoretically, England should be out of the game, but you can never write anything off with this baseball team, right?
Yeah, I mean, you should not write off any team for that matter, even more so when you've just lost after having a 190-run lead in the very first test of the series. So that is a good reminder that anything can happen in the game. But the point that you mentioned about having a big score, see, the baseball aspect will have a lot of challenges on the way, and this will be one of them. That when you are batting with a score of 500, 550 in the mind, yes, Zach Crowley has done well. So you'll expect him to come good. But after a point of time, it will start to show on the others that, okay, how much does it affect the others? Because you have to see also this part that teams were not ready for baseball till this point of time. It's almost like everybody needs at least one series against baseball to just understand how they are functioning as a batting unit in terms of what tempo are they going at. So I'm looking forward to that aspect as well from India. That now two tests in how England are approaching their innings. So then, how easy or how tough can you make it for them to not bat at the rate that they want to? So then, as you said, that 450 also has to come in quick time for them to force the result. It has to come quickly. So very keen to see how that happens. It shouldn't be that easy because again, if it was that easy, everybody would have done it. But I'll not take the credit off them. That if they do well, well done to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just take this comment, which is spot on, by the way. 80 plus viewing and just 20 likes. What are you guys doing? Please like this video for Sarfaraz, for, of course, how India got themselves out of jail. 33 for 3. No one would have imagined 326 for 5. Let's give kudos to Team India, Rajkot. And if you guys like, I don't know what Mark Wood did, not just that run out, but those 3 wickets that he took as well. From an English perspective, please hit the like for any reason, no matter what. We'll take some of your questions before we wrap up. And we have to, of course, bowl you our googly by asking you some trivia at the end of the day. So we can, of course, give you the answers tomorrow, which I'll showcase in just a bit. Melville saying, I liked. Thank you. So everyone follows suit after Melville has liked this video as well. And remember, live on X and Instagram, supporting your questions, and we'll take them right now. Talking about those googlies, let's just finish off the trivia for day 1 of this third test. Let's see what we have in our armory today. Now, we've been doing this since the start of this England-India series. With regards to all the questions we've been throwing you guys, what's happened in the day, and we're trying to make some sort of trivia out of it. So today, what do we have? We have this one to ask y'all. Now, only 3 players have scored 6,000 plus runs and picked up 150 plus wicket in tests. One is Ben Stokes, who are the other two. Remember, we're asking you this on the occasion of Stokes playing his 100th game. Many of you guys might be reading your screens right now saying, what the hell, cricket.com? I expected better. How simple can this be? Anyone can get it. If you guys know the game, you guys will know. But that is the CDC Googly today. I don't think it's a Googly good, it's just like a straight one.
Yeah, this is a fairly easy one. I mean, I don't even know how to spin it and give innings. Because
If
this is a very short sample space, and there are only few educated guesses that you can come up with. Like
Yeah.
the sample space is well, not the sample space, but the set is so small.
that is
Sample space is something completely different. I just messed up the terminology, but the set is so small because for this you need someone who's played long enough, and there are only a handful of cricketers who will come into this bracket. So yeah,
Okay.
one is very easy. I think one everyone will get. The other is something that probably after a few hit and trials people will get it.
Yeah, I think this is very Googleable, but look, do your best bit to comment, and the person who gets it in the comments, not a live chat, does win something from our end for sure. Lots of you guys having a crack about this, and Sriram Srinivasan, good to see your thoughts about day two, so on and so forth. Boss, I got both Callus and Sobers and Callus. We'll announce the winners tomorrow, but you guys will probably know it anyway. But yeah, well done to all you guys who've got it. Right, time to take some questions right now. The best of the rest in terms of all the stuff that you guys have asked us throughout this 41-minute show. Which one do we start for? Ejaz Ali, then. Who is the better option for number three? Because we spoke about Gill at the top of the show. We can move on with these questions really fast, but Gurkirat and Nix, you guys can answer it, but keep it short.
At this point of time, I don't think there's a straight answer. I think whosoever gets that position after Gill will need to be given some chances. It's a really difficult one to answer at this point of time.
Okay. Nix, I'll give you a different one. Jadeja is our second best batsman saying DOF. Shouldn't he be coming in? He shouldn't be coming in so low at 6 or 7. Do you agree?
which is
Disagree?
which is why he came at 5. Which is why he came at 5 today. So good.
Yeah, that's good, right? But then
Yeah, yeah, good.
Prajwala are asking you, Gurkirat, if not Gale, then who would three?
See, in terms of technique, I think that KL Rahul is someone who can be that guy. But then again, you have to stop using him as a Stepney. You can't. What more can you ask that guy? What more can you ask from that guy? And with him being injured and missing games, I'm not sure that you can try that. And if overseas or India are looking at him as a keeping option, then it becomes all the more difficult. I mean, I can't recall any keeper batting three. We saw how much of a shift happened in Sangakara's batting when he gave up the gloves, because it is a very tedious job. It takes a lot out of you. So yeah, I mean, if not Gill, then maybe you feel that Patidar could be the other guy because he's batting at 4 right now in the absence of KL. Because once Kohli comes back, you will give him the number 4 spot without a doubt. So there is that. But yeah, India's best hope is that Gill somehow makes that number 3 spot work,
Finds
but
the way.
I don't see it happening. I mean, till the time he doesn't work out his issues with the ball coming in, it's difficult for him to succeed as a number 3, and it's the same reason why he did not do really well as an opener either. So it's a tough one. There is no straight answer, honestly.
Yeah, it's almost like a game of musical chairs that Indian batting order right now in test. But just to make sure all of us on the same page, really quickly, you guys would never go back to Pujara anymore, right? Or Rahane.
Done. I
Done,
think
right?
the system is also fairly done and they've moved on. So it's perfectly fine.
Okay. And we can't ignore the elephant in the room. Did you all see Jaisha's speech slash interview slash bullying yesterday? Whatever. Lots of talking points. Yeah, I mean, bullying is what I think it was. It was ridiculous. I heard that audio clip. But with all due respect, some pertinent points mentioned by Jaisha. Rohit Sharma going to be leading India and Barbados. And the BCCI above certain franchisees. He's made that clear, like Vince McMahon would make it in the WWE. What did you guys have your first reactions to that news? Because I know Gurkirat will tell me right now, bro, I told you back then itself. This is just game and a spiel.
No, so my first reaction is that that should be an announcement for selectors to make, and not the secretary. That is number one thing. Having said that, I will not be surprised if there are changes just ahead of the World Cup squad coming out. That can always happen. Lastly, the comment about BCCI dictating what the franchises will do. It's an empty statement. I don't think there's a way, because there were conversations earlier as well that BCCI will ask the franchisees to manage the workload of players who will play the WTC, etc., etc. It did not happen, and it's not even fair to expect the franchisees to do it. It is a call, but that has to come from the players itself, because when the franchisees signed up to be a part of this business, they were told that players will be available because this is a BCCI tournament, right? So I think it's a statement just for the sake of it. I don't see much happening on that front, very honestly.
Okay, we'll talk more about all of those things in MNL with greater depth as well. So I don't want to waste time over it. A few more comments just to end the show. Pretty short. Number three, Kushal Shah saying that. And Kushal Shah also saying, Mayank Agarwal, remember the Bangalore boy. And Vikram Mohanty going on to say, is Gill set for the next 10 matches since he's got 1 century in 30 innings? You look at him in the itinerary, India had, I think, Bangladesh and New Zealand at home in this WTC cycle before the BGT, which is 5 tests. And you think that Gill will probably get the nod more than the others. So I think with that regard, maybe Gill will think stay at in this test team. KL slash Sarfaraz at 3, Kohli at 4, Pant at 5, Jadeja at 6, saying Srijan, Moise and Gupta. Srijan Joy, if you're new, please subscribe and good thoughts over there indeed. But look, guys, we can keep talking and talking because we built one hell of a cricket.com community this. And speaking of cricket.com, I can present to you right now what a fantastic written piece you guys can go check out, because it's all about Sarfaraz Khan, who lives his father and his father's dream to briefly conquer the world. Absolutely good math story written by Anirudh Suresh. Let's go check it out. It's available on the website and the app. It's a short and sweet read, but it's something which is inevitable on our website, let alone app. Thank you so much for your time, Gukirat Nikhil. I'll guys see you tomorrow on day 2. And our thoughts on Mark Wood taking 4 out of 5 wickets. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, Ben Stokes again, masterstroke by getting Wood in for Bashir. So he can't do any wrong at the moment, but only time will tell if India will get to 450, 500 like the gents were alluding to, or whether it'll be Ben Stokes who'll be smiling at stumps tomorrow. That's all we have time for. Check out cricket.com. Plenty of interviews to get into as well. Until the next time, so goodbye from Nikhil, Gurkirat, and me on this Thursday evening. Please like this video, guys. Sarfaraz, his debut, father, emotions. What can go wrong? You tell me. Cheers.
Okay, cheers.